Hi, I'm Dan Brady, the host of this most auspicious open mic, the longest running open mic that we know of in the known and unknown universe. The flown and unflown universe. Thank yourselves for being here. We've heard every word you said, and it's all like pudding. So, I did say the theme of this evening was like bringing debut pieces, and so I had to scramble like mad. To get some debut pieces. So I have debut pieces. As traditional. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I got to make sure this is running. Ah, I had it running. It's running. Okay. A or B?
C.
So that's a D. A as in apple, B as in ball.
C.
B.
Thank you. B. I'll go with B. For God's sake, stop him from doing this. All right. So, people here will remember Mr. Stephen Mackin, who is in the top left, right there. I should say top left, right, but anyway. And recently we had a small gathering for him at Land's End, and this poem is, I wrote some notes, and then the notes became a poem, so this will be the first thing I'll read this evening, and then I'll go into some haiku, which is has come back, and then a few old pieces, and then I'll sit down and be quiet. All right, so A Story of Land's End. Between sturdy redwoods at Land's End, in air still and quiet, we sprinkled his ashes, the finest particles of which would float. Tossing a handful up, its cloud passed through the stand when a shaft of light appeared, seen only through his finery as it flourished, then went. 9 were there at the point that day, the last such crew to be gathered in his name. A circlet of shoes on dun earth, a rotund urn of clay, molded and fired by his sister with inscriptions runic yet mysterious, now used in memoriam. Tales told, silly, bold of him, praise was bestowed and his love's honor made known. His brother spoke but briefly, yet it was enough of the man, his passions and his peculiar grace, his presence and generosity, while we, knowing whereof he spoke, nodded. As he talked, I glanced at the calm green Pacific, its cerulean canopy, this stand and its witnesses, Blake, Byron, Shelley, Sue, Brady, Mercer, Bunton, Manning, Walters, Radis, Joseph, along with Mackin. We spoke in turn, if not in tongues, and spoke of many things, even sailing ships, sealing wax, cabbages, and kings. We heard the ocean sounding for the record for each of us in our silent halls, and the small dark butterfly with white spots which fluttered by. The trees will now take him in, take him up into their bodies before they themselves return the earth bearing him. So the Point's shell mound has a new neighbor. A few thousand years from mingling they'll be all good with Steve, and his debut will be just one of those odd old stories. Sailing ships had easy transit on the calm, fast by the Golden Gate. Winter's light fell warmly on the north, brightening its hilly brown coast, as we struck invisible chords and sung in praise of the soul. Later, as we broke bread, I noted dust on the back of my hand, its fine texture, its telltale color. Gone when I next looked as I passed a platter both laden and steaming as we feasted, and transubstantiated the common weal into ephemeral tapestries of thought, word, and deed. A heady mixture, a dose of what's good for you. A while later, with intentions grand and views spectacular, we were all in accord that more of that medication is called for, and in unity did we raise our glasses in assent, tipping them all towards heaven. Thank you. And so, before I read the haiku and this other thing, other things, I'm getting my glasses for this. Copied from a strange machine years ago, 40 years ago. 40-year-old, oh, this is so much better. Okay, so I was working with, what do you call those things, the 6 coins that you throw and you flip and you do the...
Teaching.
Yes. And so there's different combinations. And so for each there's 64 combinations, and I've had once the ambitious desire to write a small poem for each. I got to like number 8 or something. So, this is one of those, but I like it. Youngest son, dreams of mountains, voice of God, thunder, you still climb the rocks, taking their stubborn, immovable, perverse angles and sharpness to calculate with. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so these are haiku. I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to skip through and have a couple of the other ones in there. Oh my God, 6 minutes left. No, only kidding. Number 1710. Across the pond, her faded Ford Ranger squeaking in the wind. True story. Oh, okay. So this has politics in it, so it's not really a haiku, but you know, it's close. More and more things have stopped making sense. So grows my indifference. Okay, and I recently started gardening again, but this is some time back. Those hunting spiders between the chard and the squash, no earwigs last night. I made the connection. Oh, those guys are out there active. Okay. Thickening blackberries hold promises, memories, candles, and pies. Yeah, thank you. Okay, and this should be funny, so I thought it was funny. Worst case scenario, the world given over to lesser gods, all known by name. You gotta watch out for that, people. Oh, where is Wendy? Where is she? She gave me raspberry kisses in the kitchen. Oh, yes, she did. Sweet. Okay, so this shows you where you gotta sit down at this place. I call it the haiku pond or the poetry pond now. Long story there. Anyway, the very loud gull limps slightly, its left knee much more knobby. Okay, 1725. Not the year. The poem. Muni! Again. The new age. Online connecting. Missing connections. Oh, and this is like a, it would be a, well, it's a still life because there's nothing living in it, but it's like a still life, but there's movement, so you can't call it still. But it's a non-living thing, right? So it's still life, not moving, but not still. Anyway, a non-still, still life. Okay. Airy mountain adrift. A cumulus, bright on the sun's limb, warmth yet to come. So the cloud was moving and going, oh, the sun's going to come out any moment. It didn't, but I thought it was going to be worse. All right. Okay, so two young men their wintry path, blackened leaves, slow pacing in silence. Okay, so people say, how's it return? Your time must be fun. So this is the story relevant to that. Seated, soft, warm sunlight, counting 100 breaths. Not so easy as one would think. The pigeons are always first to gather about my bench. But I'm just scribbling now. Oh, and you've seen these things. If you've been to any pond where grebes are, okay, quiet pond. One upset grebe speeding flees for all it's worth. Quiet. Oh, and I'll just leave the haiku off with these two. Oh, wait a minute, I'll do these three. This has nothing to do with Steve, but this is a different thing, but it's the same place. Land's End in fog. This tree fading, as did the world before it. That night, as they slept, clocks ticked, moonlight and shadows moved on their faces. There you go, some haiku there for you. You know, the way the news is and stuff like that, I just, I react and go through things, and I didn't prepare anything regarding that, so I'm glad that some people had things to say about that. Some of the poems that were read today were relevant to that. So I'm thanking everybody for those and for all the different things that people have read here tonight. I really appreciate that. It was just an intense, so many great poems today, so I'm thanking you all. Okay. I'll do this. I haven't done this in a while, so if I flub it up, you can completely ignore that. Flub. Jazz solo. Jazz solo, I mean to say jazz solo. Jazz is from the moment that it is to the moment that it was. Is. Dig. See, I know I can scat like a cool cat to be where it's at, beep it about to boo about to beep about to bing 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 da ding 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 zing, but being up here on the stage, scooping up something here off this page, I mean, see, this is for you, not for me. And I could be talking out of my hat and not be all that, so I'll make my anthem both sweet and uplifting till your soul is light and drifting until that clear blue cerulean sky the Lord clears the clouds and said, my, but that good old boy can play it on the fly. But to get back to it, jazz, you see, this poor narrator can hardly hope to give you its meaning without seeming dope, without saying those things that someone else has said, because I don't want to be demeaning or talking out of my head, but I can ask you real slow. Ask you if you really know what is it that mixes up beat, heat, and beguile, what blends enchantment and stole with style. You better keep in mind, you best be where you're at, because Mom ain't never allowed no double talk up in here, and that's that. See, it's an honest space, a free space, a space so spacious. Well, my gracious, I could go on, but I couldn't begin to cast a spell, so you out there listening, well, you'll have to hear well. Some of y'all see my point already, my disguise being thin, but I'll try for you anyway to make it a win-win. You know, you want to go, I know you want to go 8 miles high, hip-hop on over the globe so fly, making it here and there at the same time. You wonder where. I know you know what I'm talking about isn't just chance or the drummer's chops that break up the dance, the brass and the strings beating up their things while the singer lets loose with a tale that really goes on the wail, even if only to an idiot signifying nothing or being like me, kind of pale. But what gliding on the moonlight does, what swimming in the ancient sea was, what dream drifting in a daze is, what floating like unto a haze is. Jazz is the sound heard everywhere. You carry it with you when you hum soft air. I mean, this is jazz with a capital J, with all caps all the way in. You can be skinny or playing it fat, and sometimes it strains over the old Hazarat, or colors up the cumulus clouds high over Bali, or gleams like Xanadu's mirage as you blink back tears from the shimmering light on the Rub Kali. It whispers over the Solomons and Bangalore. It echoes over the Rift Valley. It covets the great Pacific shore. It is the wavering light upon Tut's pyramids, the Transamerica or Notre Dame spires. It is the sound of this age. It's ever new. It conspires. So when you hear it, when I hear it, it's the bee's knees, the cat's PJs, the drunken jackass with his pants full of fleas, ships at the sea roll with the scroll, clouds surmount the mountains in the cold, and everything is getting old. But jazz is what it is from the moment that it is until it is, now. To get back to it. Think of everything you've ever heard, every dream you've ever tasted, and give me the word, just so it's not about the makeups and breakups, moo and the moon, ancestral chains, or the myriad of mystified brains, just so it's not the blank look on every stranger's face, the disguise of the ordinary, a cut to the chase, a wrinkle in reality, the lovelorn thing, the changing times of never changing, and the sense of it all being one bright thing. No. It's not ordinary, not in the least. That's what I mean about jazz. It's an ever-loving feast, and I mean jazz with a capital J. And toss in some laughter, because jazz is what it is, and all that comes after.
Yeah! Yeah!
Love is a many splendid thing. My singing voice is coming back. I noticed that recently. Love is a many. I can't do it now, of course, it saved my life, but. Okay, so this has, I'm going to end with these two, because this has political overtones or undertones. Half-tones.
Aftertaste.
Yeah, aftertaste. Oh my God. And this one will clean the palate. I hope. The sky calling, above, about, within, without. The sky asks why. Why? To everything you say, every time you say anything, why? You are. That it is the way it is. Why? Why must you see it all that way? And it wants answers today. Mind, not any other. It asks, what of our essential mother, who bore and bears you still? What do you hold on, what do you do to hold on to what's true? And why do you pay for what you do in lieu of what she freely offers? How can you take all those lies into you? How can you be blinded by perilous perceptions? Why do you take anything shiny or new as your precious? Why make it this life only as you can, like, never considering the earth, air, wind, or fire? Why have you lost sight of the clouds aglow with the sun, or how the sovereign in its cerulean fair field beyond our view joins the galactic night bejeweled with every hue? Oh, yes, as if there could be any need to guess, this is the sky calling above, about, within, without. The sky calls, asking ever more and more intently, insistently, why, why, why? To every answer you ever give. And this, the palate cleanser of the evening. I'm going to read it in the ancient Sanskrit. Peace. Create this once and you've created 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000 billion never-ending times. Peace is what it is between any two thoughts, any two breaths, any two heartbeats. A stillness. Peace is what it is between the dreams, the wants and wishes. A stillness. Peace is what it is when nothing at all is happening, when the air is calm, as the gold of day settles into night's deepening hues, there is a stillness. Peace is what it is in this world when the soul is unruffled with a simple indrawn breath providing perspective before you simply react, when you look before you leap, as it were, and you keep a stillness. Peace is what it is on a tranquil pond with reflections that mirror life, until that first duck skids in or breeze wrinkles it, creating an impressionistic collage of green and sky sequins with a stillness. Peace is what it is when each step is a forward step on the path that lay easy before you, with a gentle wind at your back as you walk along, with a stillness. Peace is what it is when your quietude is like that of the new moons as you're reeling with the inspiration of a lover's serenade, all in a lazy, hazy summer's night, and each clear, moving note is embraced by a stillness. Peace is what it is in harmony. It's the heart of the matter, and therefore all matter of the universe for all time, a stillness. Peace is what it is when you create it, and being that it is all there is, peace is a stillness. Create this once, and you've created it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, 1,000 million never-ending times. Peace is a stillness. Thank you. Thank you so much.